Hi, hello, namaste, and welcome to yet another exciting episode of Logistics Pe Charcha. I am Prajakta Karnik, editor of Logistics Outlook magazine, and today we have with us Mr. Vivek Arya. He is the CEO, Rhenus Logistics, India and Global. He is also the CEO of Rhenus Warehousing Solutions Intercontinental. Welcome, Mr. Vivek, to our studio.
Thank you, Prajakta. Thanks for inviting me and happy to be here.
To just begin with, I would like to understand the journey of Rhenus Logistics. How has that been, and its journey in India as well.
To start with, my family comes from trucking business. So our trucking business now goes back to about 50 to 60 years back. And as the Arya family grew larger, the family members decided to break down the business into smaller units. So my brother and myself, we started fresh again from zero in 1992, and we set up the company called Western Arya Transport. Western Arya Transport then got into a joint venture with Rhenus Germany in 2010. So we started working with Rhenus in 2005 and then formed a JV. And now 15 years after the JV, it works well for both sides. It's been quite an interesting journey, and I would say the kind of brand value, brand recall value, the products and learnings is tremendous. Rhenus is now 110 plus year old company and has a very wide portfolio with a very good global footprint, and happy to be part of this organization.
So, how has that change been from after the partnership? Rather, how has that journey been? Because obviously, a foreign company when it comes to India, so the things change. So, how has that been?
I think one of the key thing is that Rhenus is a family-owned company globally, and it's owned by the Rethman family. And being a family-owned company, they understand the importance of being family-owned. And Indian market is not as simple as it looks to the people. And I think for both sides, the Rethman family or the Arya family, it's been a win-win relationship. Rhenus India, since it started its journey in 2010, has grown multifold in India. We are running successfully 4 business units: international freight, which we call air and ocean, custom brokerage, road freight, and warehousing solutions. So it's been a good mix of business. We position ourselves as integrated logistics solutions and service providers.
Okay.
As part of the group, I also take care of the warehousing business, all geographies outside Europe.
Okay.
So that's my responsibility. So yeah, because it works for both sides and there is a huge high level of trust, it works well.
We all are talking about the challenges that we've seen in this logistics sector, rather overall global disruptions, the geopolitical scenario. How are you seeing that shaping logistics industry, and how is India positioned?
Project number one, I don't like this whole concept of challenges. I always say that this is opportunities. Yeah, and today we are living in a VUCA world where it will continue to be volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous as we keep talking about it. I think the only way to solve complex problems and complexities is by simple solutions, simplicity. Yeah, that's the only opposite to complex. Complexity opposite is simplicity, and that's the only way to address it. So I would say that Rhenus is very well poised. We are a flat organization where quick decision making is quick. We develop entrepreneur spirit in our organization, and I think these are the things that can address that. A lot of effort in terms of forecasting, planning, looking into the future, or looking into the past data for forecast isn't going to help much because we are living in an uncertain world. So I think the idea is how we can be more flexible, agile, and more adaptive to the changes, and how quick we respond to those changes. So I think that's how Rhenus is going to position ourselves. And because we have multiple business units, that also gives us a lot of room and buffer to withstand these changes. Some months you have the international freight doing well, some months the road freight, some months the warehousing, some months the road trucking, customs. So that cyclic effect is also in a way nullified in terms of having multi-product, multi-business portfolio.
So, how do they see India? As you mentioned, that you don't like to call it as challenges but opportunities. What are the opportunities that India has given?
So, Rhenus, I can talk on behalf of Tobias Bartz, who's our global CEO. And for Rhenus Group globally, Central Asia, India, and Latin markets are the focus markets. And Rhenus wants to continuously invest for growth in these markets. We are currently exploring the possibilities to get into inland waterways. We have recruited some experts who are part of the team now. Last 1.5 years, we have spent in a lot of study. We have physically visited the National Waterways 1, 2, 16, India-Bangladesh protocol routes. And we have a high-level delegation with one of our board members and global CEO for port logistics visit us in end of April, beginning of May. We have been in touch with the Inland Waterways authorities. And if all goes well, by 2025, we would like to launch our 5th business unit of doing barges on the inland waterways.
Oh.
So that itself is a testimony of how Rhenus believes in the market and looking at investments. And we're talking about quite large investments here in terms of barges, in terms of pushers, etc., and getting into the new business environment. Apart from that, we are also exploring the possibility to get into 4PL activities, which is basically doing the supply chain management for our customers by providing them visibility, by providing them tools for purchase order management. So it's basically managing the supply chain of our customers.
Absolutely.
So 2 new business units, work in progress or under construction, you may call it. So yes, Rhenus has believed in the Indian growth story. The owners and the CEO of Rhenus make it a point to visit India at least once a year, if not more. And that itself is a statement within the group and externally of how well they believe in the Indian market.
Absolutely. How conducive are the policies when it comes to India as well as global? Because there have been challenges on that front, that certain policies of the international on the international front are not that conducive or business friendly. So how do you see those challenges and vis-a-vis India?
So I would say the government in the last years has taken a lot of positive initiatives in streamlining, smoothing these, as you call the challenges, and the execution has started. And when you were talking about a large economy and as diverse as India, for these changes to have the complete effect on a positive note will take its time. I would say we are on the right path. We are correcting all the old legacies we've had in the past. Whether you look at the Transport Acts, whether you look at the Customs Act, whether you look at the highways infrastructure, so we have come a long way. And I think this journey will continue and we will need at least another 10, 20 years before we can call ourselves as a completely developed nation. And I think this itself is an opportunity. So if everything existed like the Western world in terms of policies, in terms of infrastructure, I would say it will be a very unhappy space because it will not be full of opportunities. Yeah.
So you are also managing the warehousing aspect of it, and you also mentioned about getting into 4PL services. Can you tell us more about that? How is it going to be? What are the opportunities that you're seeing? Because now from 3PL, everyone is progressing to 4PL. So why that transition are we seeing, and how challenging is that space?
So modernization is a part of growth. If you look at India, historically we've had godowns, not warehouses. And yet a very large chunk of our so-called warehousing business is transacted out of godowns. So there is a need to modernize the infrastructure. Along with the need for modernizing the infrastructure, the advantages are you can go vertically high because the cost of land or cost of construction is only going to increase. So you can use racking systems, you can use mechanization to the fullest by doing racking, forklifts, reach trucks. Even the cost of manpower is going higher. So it also gives you the possibilities of economies of scale.
Yeah.
So I think the journey from moving from godown to warehouses, the modernization is one journey which will continue to happen. India will continue to build warehouses. We are building the highest number of, in terms of square feet, highest in the world, and that will continue for the next 10, 20 years. That's where I see the positive outlook there. Along with the warehousing, I think India also needs to do a lot of work on unitization, palletization, and standardization. If we really want to use this benefit of economies of scale, we need to get into that. That will lead to a lot of automation, and that will lead to a lot of use of technology. So everything is linked. So I see, if you ask your question about how do I see the warehousing space, have a very positive outlook. I think we will use the space more intelligent. We will apply technology in the country, like using very good WMS systems. Rhenus globally uses Blue Yonder as its WMS partner, even getting to scanning of all operations within the warehouse to ensure that we have zero errors within the in and out of the warehouse, getting into EDI integration with the customers for good data quality. So I think these are obvious steps of the next phase of growth.
So we are seeing intra-logistics, taking more. It's the next thing that we are seeing, intra-logistics.
Yes, I think integrated logistics is the way forward. Historically, if you look at it in India, a customer had multiple vendors in the supply chain. One for trucking from port to warehouse, and then for managing warehouse, and then from outbound from warehouse. International freight was done by somebody else, customs was done by somebody else. So you have multiple partners. I think customers would like to move to one partner who is able to offer end-to-end solutions.
Just wanted to understand, there is this entire debate about manpower and automation. So while you also mentioned that talent is, this manpower is expensive, how do you see, the industry balancing on both the fronts? Because logistics is supposed to be one of the highest employment generation after manufacturing. So how do you see that being balanced?
The mundane tasks in the warehouse can be replaced by mechanization and by automation.
Correct.
Yeah, and I think one should not automate or bring in robotics just for the sake of automation. There has to be a very well qualified reason, and the ROI should match to it. So, and that India, I think, is there is some more time for India to be ready to that place, because simply we do not have the economies of scale to automate and put robotics into the place. Today, typically Indian way of working has been, rather than in making investments in capital goods, we say put two people and get it solved. But now with the cost of people, also cost of manpower going higher, there will be. So India will go through that phase. So in the warehouse earlier, every loading, unloading was everything manual. Now you have forklifts, now you have reach trucks. Even if you look at computers which were introduced, they have not taken away any jobs, they only added jobs. So automation and robotics will only ease mundane jobs which can be replaced, and intelligent jobs will remain with people. Repetitive jobs will be replaced. I don't think anybody in the country needs to fear with automation and robotics. It's the same fear which we had 30 years back about computers. And the computers proved themselves right and the others wrong in a way.
And everyone coexists.
Yeah, everyone coexists. And had we not adopted those technologies, we would not be competing in the global markets.
You recently partnered with IKEA.
Yeah.
Are we seeing the D2C segment growing with also the e-commerce boom that we are seeing? Can you tell us more about the same?
You know better, Prajakta. India is an economy and a country which is on the growth path, and we will continue to grow. We have a lot of things which are in our favor. Having the population size, the homegrown market, we have the right demography, with the youngest population in the world. We have a very high middle income group, which is probably the largest in the world by itself. India is called the diamond shape economy. And above that, we have this aspirational Indians. Yeah? And these Indians want to have more of these if you may call the essential items or luxury items, everybody wants to move up the value chain in terms of consumption. So there is a huge potential. We have seen how the Amazons and Flipkarts of the world have come and how many millions of shipments they do per month, per annum. Similarly, large companies which can afford, like the IKEAs, will get into their own omni-channels and D2C models. And I see a very bright and positive future for this.
We are seeing the shift from 2-day deliveries to 1-day delivery to 10 minutes delivery. So how are you seeing that pressure building, and is that something which is possible when it comes to white goods?
I think we have to look at different segments in a different way. People expect grocery to come in 10 minutes because that's an impromptu decision. I
Correct.
want to make this, cook this at home today. And then what next? Go on to one of those apps and request them for delivery within 10 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever. But decision around buying furniture or your bed or your cupboards or your refrigerators, these are not impromptu decisions.
Correct.
You don't get up in the morning and say, today I need a new bed. It's a decision where the family will make the decision together, or the husband and wife will sit together, decide first the debate on which color we want, which complexity we want, what height we want. That debate itself will take a week.
Correct.
So there is no pressing hurry for consumers of these kind of items that they would need 10 minutes delivery for furnitures.
Correct.
So I think we need to look at it from what segment are we talking about.
One question about you have these days multi-client facilities. So how is that helping a company like you when it comes to having multiple clients at the same time under one roof, servicing them in one go?
So I think multi-client facilities is a win-win relationship. So it's not about how it benefits us, it's about how it benefits our customers. When you have a multi-client facility, you have the advantage of shared cost.
Correct.
So the customer enjoys the same level of service or better level of service at a lower cost. So, for example, the rentals are distributed over the multiple customers. You also have flexibility for season off-season expansion in space, cost of utilities, cost of people, cost of IT technology, cost of connectivity. All that can be spread over multiple customers. So that's a big advantage for customers to move to a multi-client facility. From our, as a logistics service provider, I think what we can offer to a customer is the technical know-how of how to run their business. I think for us, it is very important to understand customers' business to be able to service them in the right order. So if we have a multi-client facility with multiple chemical customers, so I think the customers feel very comfortable that we understand their chemistry, we understand the safety requirements, we understand how to handle their products. So it's a win-win situation. So we also create a niche and a specialization, and happy to share the benefits with the customer. So it's a win-win situation.
We're talking about using multimodal transportation. The government is also focusing on promoting railways with the dedicated freight corridor coming up. How do you see the entire multimodal transportation growing, and how is it going to come as an advantage for Rhenus Logistics as well?
So far in India, as transporters, we have always benefited from the lack of railway and inland waterways infrastructure. And I think that is coming slowly. So all long distance movements ideally should happen by rail.
Correct.
Or waterways, because they are the cheapest modes of transportation. Waterways the cheapest, followed by rail, followed by road. I believe all these initiatives by the government in terms of infrastructure, railways, is good for the country. And also these days, in the last years, we see a lot of talk about sustainable transportation. And the most sustainable transportation is waterways. Railways definitely over and above the road. So all long distances will move to rail, and medium to short distance last miles will remain with the road. So I think this shift will happen gradually. In the next 5-10 years, we will see a gradual shift towards road applying for medium to short distances.
You mentioned about sustainability. How sustainable is the entire logistics industry currently? We are seeing a little bit of shift towards electric vehicles, but still that's a long way to go. Even hydrogen powered vehicles. How do you see that progress, and how sustainable is the Rhenus Logistics entire business?
So, Rhenus Logistics globally has a lot of initiatives around sustainability, and you need to understand and break down the businesses into different products. A road, by far, we know is the most negative footprint in the whole logistics chain. But today, we do not have the trucks and the possibilities to do long journeys or long routes on EV
EVs.
vehicles. If you want to have an EV vehicle with long journey, long distances, the weight of the battery itself will be 7 to 10 tons. So that negates that. But if you look at the ocean freight, there are a lot of classifications which have been international norms that have been implemented. From an air freight point of view, it has been implemented. On the warehousing side, Rhenus in India also has implemented a lot of solar panels. So like our Bombay warehouse is completely a green warehouse, which is operating on solar powered. So the initiatives are in different buckets, yes, and we are committed to the cause of sustainability, but it will move hand in hand. So again, back to the same story, that long distance by rail and short and last mile by road. And by then we will have even more modern vehicles which can support these last. Today we already have last mile deliveries on EV vehicles. Rhenus in India also have launched them. But again, they have capacity limitations and so on. And I think this is a journey we will see in the next years. But yes, we are committed to this and we will continue investing into this.
Talking about investments, how do you see Rhenus Logistics placed in the next 5 years? We are talking about visions to 2030. So, how are you seeing that? What kind of investments are we looking at?
As I said earlier, we have 4 business units. We want to add 2 more business units. We want to also get into greenfield warehousing, where we want to buy land and construct warehouses for captive consumption, not creating logistics parks. So Rhenus has a very positive outlook towards India. We will continue to invest. We are talking about bringing in a lot of new barges, pushers, the greenfield warehousing. So yes, in terms of investments, we do not put this into the public domain, but yes, I can only tell you we are very positive with our outlook and investments.
Now, something different. I would like to understand from you the 5 best practices that the company has adopted, to stay agile in this entire challenging. I know you don't like that word, but since COVID, we have seen things changing. So, 5 best practices that you all have incorporated.
We all realized during COVID how important technology is. Yeah, and now we see these virtual calls, which has become a way of life. The kickstart happened with COVID. It was there around. We were using all the Teams and Skypes of the world, but now you see that it's become as a part of the standard IT pack you get from your company. So Rhenus has invested heavily in terms of technology. Rhenus is also investing in grooming its own talent and skills for the people. So these are 2 of the key factors which Rhenus is there. And I think apart from that, as we said, we are working in a VUCA world. And how quickly can we adapt in terms of quick decision making and driving this entrepreneur spirit within the organization and empowering the people. During the COVID times, you could see people, you could see leaders all across. And as I always say, leadership is not the prerogative of somebody sitting in a swanky office. Leadership has to be in the organization across the hierarchy. So I think for Rhenus, it's about technology, it's about people, it's about being quick decision making, how flexible we are with our decision making and how quickly we make those decisions. And because we come from a family business, we do not look at the world only from quarter to quarter. We have a more long-term view on our businesses. So a lot of decisions we can make is based on long-term. Rhenus, I can tell you, is one of the few companies of that size today in India where we are a net debt-free company. And that also gives us a lot of possibility to be flexible. I've seen a lot of companies during lockdowns which had huge challenges because of their high interest costs. So I think these are some of the things which make us more agile and more responsive to the markets.
So, coming from a family-owned business, debt-free company, what are the top 5 advices that you would like to give to the industry, especially when there are many, entrepreneurs that are willing to get into this business?
I think in our industry, the biggest change I'd like to see, or the advice which I like to give to the people, is focus on value rather than cost. Focus on efficiency rather than cost alone. You may do certain things at a lower cost at a given point of time, but if it's not efficient, it'll nullify that cost benefit. And always when talking to customers, it's about value proposition. It's not only about cost. There are different kind of players in this industry, who are venture capitalist funded. They come with different motives of doing business. They are professionally large multinational companies. There are family-owned businesses. There are homegrown businesses. Everybody has different outlook of why they are in the business. I think do not leave your DNA and your reasons of being in the business. Your purpose of being in the business may be different than the others. Sometimes we, in our pursuit of taking business, we try to compete with people who we should not be competing with. I can tell you there is a lot of hue and cry in the industry space about the business being very competitive, the business customers are not ethical, the customers saying the service providers are not ethical, and so on. I think we need to draw the line and decide when it doesn't work. And I think my advice to people is find your niche, find your specialization, focus on technology, focus on investing in talent, and define your purpose of doing the business. And it's always about value, it's always about efficiency. And from a customer point of view, I would also say that engage with the customers more on a strategic basis. Today, most of the engagement between service provider and service taker is at an operational or at the most tactical level.
Correct.
Till we do not form these partnerships with our customers and get into the strategic discussions and then into tactical and then into operational, we will never be able to create an ecosystem which is efficient. And I think the word here is efficient. And another, I think the big change I like to see in the industry is a big focus on standardization and palletization. Because sooner or later we will have those economies of scale. And without having a proper standardization or palletization or unitization, we will not be able to scale up. Today, if you look at Europe, you talk about pallets. It's deemed understood it's a Euro pallet. In India, if you talk about pallet, you will get 5 different kind of dimensions telling you what pallets are. And with this, you cannot create a standardized logistics ecosystem. And the last part is, I think we should not shy away from getting into collaborative logistics. That's the way to grow. We try to look at them as competition each other. So I would suggest to all my fraternity friends, how well can we collaborate? That's the importance.
Absolutely. So collaboration is the key going forward.
Yes, technology, people, collaboration, efficiency, these are some of the key takes from my side.
That was great chatting with you, Mr. Vivek, and thank you very much for coming to our studio.
Pleasure. Thank you. Thanks for inviting.
Thank you.